Tonight at 7, more than 11% of the people employed in our area, they work for the federal government. Well, there's a potential worker crisis looming because the workforce of the U.S. government is aging. Today, just 7% of permanent full-time federal employees are younger than 30 years old, compared with 20% in the broader labor market. Meanwhile, 31% of all government employees are eligible to retire by 2025. Max Stier is with us tonight. He's co-authored an opinion piece with Dr. Anthony Fauci, published in the Washington Post. Stier is the president and CEO of the nonpartisan nonprofit Partnership for Public Service. Max, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
When I read the op-ed, the first thing that jumped off the page at me was, is this an anomaly? Was there a time in history where the federal workforce was, by and large, younger?
So the answer is yes. We've seen the number of young people, frankly, decline for some substantial number of years. If you go back to the front end of the Obama administration, for example, we had many more proportionally young people coming into government than we do today.
Okay. Northern Virginia Congressman Jerry Connolly, Democrat, he sits on the subcommittee for the federal workforce of the Oversight Committee. He told me this today, quote, "Our country is facing a retirement tsunami in the federal government. We must be innovative in making public service attractive to the next generation of civil servants, including providing competitive compensation and access to telework and streamlining the federal hiring process." He plans on introducing a bill called the Next Gen Feds Act, looking for a Republican co-sponsor right now. He introduced that in the last Congress, didn't go anywhere. Do you know anything about that bill and whether or not it would help?
So the answer, it would help, and I would say Jerry Connolly is one of the most informed members of Congress on these issues, and he's been a longtime proponent for not only the federal workforce, but also modernizing the way government works.
Okay, so the current chairman of the Oversight Committee, James Comer, he pushed the Show Up Act, which passed the House just last week. This is a bill that would, among other things, drastically pull back the amount of telework. How do we make federal jobs competitive by taking the option of telework off the table?
You don't, is the short answer. The reality is that telework is a primary consideration for a lot of talent, and if you take that away as a tool for the federal government to recruit, you put the government at a substantial disadvantage. It's already very difficult, as Congressman Connolly identified in his bill. The compensation system leaves many federal employees, especially in the most critical occupations, underpaid versus the private sector. If you take away more tools, you're going to make it even harder for the government to get the talent it needs to deliver services that the American people want.
You think we're going to see change in this Congress? Do you think they're going to move forward on something that will address this?
So my hope is yes. I would say that a bill that has received a lot less attention also got through the House that is focused on improving the hiring process. My sense is that these are issues ultimately that are nonpartisan. At the end of the day, the real argument is about what government should be doing, but that government should be doing whatever it is doing well, which requires great talent, should be an issue that everyone can rally around.
Yeah, that'll be the big question. Will government do it in the era of a divided Congress that we're going to see here for the next 2 years?
Yes, and I'm an optimist about the fact that at the end of the day, members of Congress are themselves public servants. They need to show that they're delivering fundamentally for their own constituents, and the way to do that is to actually get our government to work even better.
Absolutely. Well, you can read the opinion piece that you co-authored with Dr. Anthony Fauci. It's on the Washington Post site right now. I put a link to it up on my Twitter page at Longo TV. Max Stier, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.